ほら、ルフィ、今一緒に海賊になる仲間を探してるんだ。
Hello guys, welcome to my channel The Wandering Zoro, your go-to destination for anime-related content. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. In today's video, we're going to be diving into part 3 of the series. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. Dagoba Municipal Park Beach the next day. Hikari Murasame reached the place early in the morning. He breathed in the air and smelled the dump that was around him. It's a good thing that this place is going to get a makeover. He thought as he looked at around the place, which was surrounded by the dump except for one place. The place where Izuku started to clean up. Look at that, a kid becoming a hero before being in the academy. Funny thing, he is not doing anything illegal. Hello, Hikari. An old voice came from behind him. He turned to look at the familiar face of the old lady with the cane-shaped of syringe that he met all those years ago on that fateful day. It has been a long time. How are you? He in turn gave a grin to the older pro-heroine. Hey, old hag. Hikari answered with an amused smirk as the eyebrow on Recovery Girl's twitched. I am good. How's it going on your end? I am good. Recovery Girl replied to the teen. And I see that you still have the same mouth on you, huh, brat? Hey, let me tell you, I am not a brat anymore. Hikari started as he brought a finger to clear a point. I've grown a bit from before. You might have grown physically, Recovery Girl said as she looked at the young man up and down. But you are still the same brat that didn't even know how to zip his pants. Before Hikari could say anything in return, a new voice interrupted their conversation. So you two are very familiar with each other. The voice of the lanky, shrunken form of All Might interjected. Oh, we are, Hikari said as he looked at the small lanky man. So have you prepared a new schedule for him? Yes, I did. Yagi said as he looked at the young man in front of him. He was still a bit wary of him, not a whole lot, and he believed that he had a good heart, otherwise Recovery Girl wouldn't have suggested him. He did not know this man, and he was the only one that was not in his circle who knew about One for All, and the fact that he had his mentor's journal. Yagi shook his head as he looked at the man in seriousness. There were other things that were needed to be discussed. So is there a reason that asked for the changes, or why you asked for Recovery Girl to be here today? Yep, Hikari replied. May I know the reason then? Do you really want to? Hikari asks the man. Yes. All right then, Hikari said as he looked on in the distance towards the sea. First and foremost, with his quirk in action, many of your exercises wouldn't have said effect that it would have previously when his quirk was still working unconsciously, and you probably can't sense when he is using his quirk, even when he doesn't want it to. He said as he turned to look at Lanky Man. And the reason, I asked for the old hag. Well, I saw the fire in his eyes. He wants to prove himself, not just to us but himself too. He has some serious issues that he himself needs to come on terms with, and with those in his drive, there are high chances that he will push himself even on the first day, and with those training weights. He then closed his eyes and took in a deep breath, still taking nothing much more than the stink of the dump. There are high chances that he would push himself and tire himself out before he even reaches here. So Recovery Girl is here to help young Midoriya recover, if he is too tired to work. Bonk. Ow, Hikari yelped as he rubbed his head. What was that for? I am not someone's personal caretaker. Recovery Girl admonished the young man. Any more, that is, and you do know that my quirk doesn't work like that. Yes, I know, Hikari whined on his place, still rubbing his head where she stuck with the cane. The actual reason I called you here is because we are going to take him to several dojo and see if he liked any of them for him to join. And some of those dojo are really strict and sometimes test the people who wants to train in their arts to determine what style fits them and from where will his training will be beginning. And they do not show mercy, and you, milady, are here for that. He then noticed the glare that was being given. Oh, you and I both know that he is not a fighter, not talking about his spirit, but physically. He just started working. It will take some time, and by fighting them, he might have learned that he could have started it early on. Also, it will also help him to deal with his issues. So you are going to send a child who could barely defend himself or control his quirk, fight a professional, just for him to have an outlet, and also so that he could be beaten down. Hikari nodded his head at that. Also, he is going to be half dead when he reach here. Hikari said, and Recovery Girl rubbed her head in annoyance. How can he be half dead? Yagi asks. If I had asked my teacher, he would be wishing he was dead, or if I followed even one of her schedules, that is. What I've prepared for him is quite lenient. Hikari said. Now on to other things. Aren't there supposed to be someone else here too? Yeah, Yagi said as he nodded his head. They called me yesterday night, said Kimiwi Woods will be a little late, reaching here. Hikari and Recovery Girl nodded their head at that. So since nobody is here except us, Recovery Girl started. There is one thing I would like to know. She looked at the Hikari, who turned to look at her. How did you learn about One for All? Hikari looked at her for a few moments, then turning to the shrunken form of All Might. She knows? He asks. Yes, she knows, Yagi said while nodding his head. And she knows because she is my doctor. Oh, she is your doctor. And the she you guys are talking about is right here. Recovery Girl interrupted again. So before I use my cane again, please tell me how come you became aware of the fact about Yagi's quirk? Hikari was about to speak up, but Recovery Girl glared at him before he could even speak. And I don't want any half-baked explanation, understand? And with that, Hikari withered under her glare. I would like to know the full story too, Yagi said as Hikari. He looked at Yagi and then back at her before speaking. A few months ago, me and one of my friend went to the dump yard. Hikari started, but was interrupted by Recovery Girl. Friend, which one? Recovery Girl asks. The other one, the same one who works with me time to time in the social working part, that one. So both of us went to the dump yard because apparently his wife threw away something that was a bit symbolic for both him and his daughter, so both us went to find it. I did not know how I got roped into going to dump yard of all place, so yeah, I went there. Hikari then paused as he turns to look at the shrunken form of the hero. So we were searching for the symbolic father-daughter thing when I kicked a large dump away, while trying to search for it when a few books fell over. While we were looking at it, I saw the name on the journal that said Nana Shimura, and I knew few things about her, especially because of my daily job, so curiosity took over me, and I took the journal with me after we found the thing. He looked over at Yagi as he continued. I put it on my study table and nearly forgot because of my daily job, and when I remembered, I first decided to look up her family. Found out that whole family died in a freak accident with no survivors. So I put it on hold again, but can't have it over for so long, something that isn't mine too. So I decided to take the course of action. I decided to read it so I could find out about the next of kin. I know that it is an invasion of privacy of someone that is dead, but I can't have it lying at my place. So I decided I will read it, and imagine my surprise. The first few pages were of her hero times, and with who she fell in love with, so nothing important. But in between I found something about a man, her sensei in a sense giving her a huge responsibility, and something about her student, Yagi Tashinori, who wanted to be named as All Might or Superman, whichever fits, and because of when she was active I came to the conclusion Yagi was All Might. She wrote about how proud she was of him and have decided for her to be the inheritor of One for All, the quirk that could be passed on, or was because of that I read the journal from the beginning and before the final battle against All for One. He finished. So you found out about it from her journal that you found? Yep. You still haven't told me everything, have you? Recovery Girl pointed out. Hikari looked at her for a few moments before he spoke. No, I haven't. Hikari answered for her, making Yagi tightening his fists. And that would be? She prodded from him. I believe that there have been more users for this quirk, am I right? He directed this question to Yagi, who looked at him with same intensified look, before he finally nodded. Yes, there have been, Yagi told him. And I believe that some of them. He paused as he looked at them, left behind few clues about One for All, which I don't think is that good. This got him wide-eyed expression from the other two. Now I am looking for the user before Mrs. Nana, and considering that name is there in the journal, it would be easy to find out about family, but difficult to even think where they might have left a clue. So you think that many of the previous holders of the One for All might have left some kind of information regarding this quirk? Yagi asks him. Well, one of them did, Hikari said as he looked at the others. Who's to say that others haven't? As the beach then covered in silence. So you are going to find some clues about them? Recovery Girl asks after a moment. Already on it. Hikari stated, one of the reason I was here, to find out All Might. Then you told me he was teaching some kid here, got the chance, took it. He then looked at the distance where was nothing except buildings. We'll talk about this at a later time. Our student just decided to come after all. He then looked towards the corner, Yagi and Recovery Girl turning to look where he was, and the sight did baffle them, because Izuku Midoriya came, by crawling with his hand. Told ya, he would be half dead. he said while glancing at the heroes. Yagi was about to go and help him up, but was stopped by Hikari. Don't. He needs to do this himself. He will be here. Just let him do it. Yagi glared at Hikari as he said that. And you want to tell me why should I not? Yagi asked with a growl. Because you aren't going to be there every time he falls. Let him pick himself up. Will be good for his broken self-esteem and confidence. Hikari said as Recovery Girl nodded her head at that. So till the time he reaches here, does anybody else have any other questions? Hikari asks while turning to the two. Yeah. Yagi spoke up as he looks at the teen, then back at Hikari. What exactly is your day job? Oh, me. Hikari pointed at himself as he looked at the shrunken hero. I am one of field researcher for the QERT Corps. He ignored the glare that was being sent by youthful heroine. You mean the big company who is one of the leading tech company and also works as a quirk analyst branch with I-Island and government? Yep. We are creating a branch at the near the jungles here in Mustafu. Made things for me easier. You don't. Let him come here on his own, Hikari suddenly shouts when he saw one of the branch that was coming from Kamui Woods, about to pick Izuku off the ground. What? Kamui Woods asks as he retracts the branches, and then goes near and stood beside Recovery Girl. But why? For his own good. Okay then. He didn't ask what exactly the new guy has in mind. So you're the new guy? The idiot who nearly blew Mount Lady head off. That was actually some mistake on my part, but I told her she was not in danger. Hikari said while looking at the new presence. So you are Kamui Woods, heard a lot of good things about you. Nice work out there. He complimented the hero who blushed at the compliment. Thanks. Kamui Woods, answers the teen. So why are you here, Recovery Girl? He turned towards the heroine who was watching the young teen make an effort for coming close to them. Because today's agenda includes ruthless beating of one Izuku Midoriya. Recovery Girl answers as she glares at the young man that was standing by her. Kamui Woods on the other hand looks with surprise at her. Really? Kamui Woods asks. Yep was the response that came. Why? He asks again. As finally Hikari turns to give all of them a baffled stare. Seriously, none of you see it? He asks while pointing at the crawling teen. The two hero looks a bit confused while Recovery Girl nodded her head in understanding. See what? Both Yagi and Kamui Woods asks. Forget it. Hikari said as he looked at the teen who was now close to them. You will understand soon. He then stood over the downed teen, who finally reached where he was supposed to be. I pant huff pant wheeze him. Izuku took a deep breath as he stood up with his legs wobbling. Here. And then fell on his back. Good morning, kiddo. Hikari greeted him with a smile. How's the first day with the training weights? Izuku craned his neck to look at the new sensei. He panted and huffed with his legs and hands. Now, sir, are killing me. Good. Hikari said again with a smile as Yagi and Kamui looked at the man beside them in bewilderment. Recovery Girl on the other hand sighed at his attitude, with Izuku dropping his head back in the sand. Rest yourself. He commanded to the downed kid who had his eyes closed. We have a lot to do today. With that darkness filled Izuku's eyes. Izuku was having a blissful sleep. His hand and legs were relaxed, so much that he was sure that he wasn't that much relaxed when he goes to sleep. The bed was also very comfortable. He couldn't feel anything. But right now, not a single bone in his body wanted to move. But there was this cold feeling that he felt, something that was on his face. He had felt this before. He was having trouble breathing. Why was he having trouble breathing? And he jerked up when he felt something in his mouth, and he threw it out. A bottle in his mouth again. His face wet. The sand beneath his body was familiar. He was on the beach, where he trains, and the bottle in his mouth means that Hikari was also here. So want to tell us? A voice spoke up from above him. Why were you so tired today? A hand patted him on his head as the person then handed him a bottle with juice. He looked up as he took the bottle to see Hikari standing above him, with Kamui Woods and All Might in his shrunken form there, along with Recovery Girl. I decided to run on the way here with the weights on, Izuku said as he quickly opened the bottle and chugged the contents down. For some reason he was really thirsty. As he said this, he noticed a weird smirk that appeared on his face. I got that from the way you were crawling, Hikari said as he then looked at the teen. Now tell me, didn't I told you to take it easy? Izuku tried to remember, and yes, he did mention it for him to take it easy after he was given the weights. Izuku nodded his head in confirmation. I wouldn't say anything, because today is the first, but I want you to take this into consideration. Pushing your body is good. But what happened was you tried to skip few levels, and your body isn't for it right now. It needs time to adjust. Don't push yourself. Your growth is going to be gradual, not in an instance, all right? Izuku nodded his head again. Today is going to be an easy day for you. So if you are rested, I want you to clean this place for an hour. Before we are going on to your exercises, today you are going to do a half of the total count. You usually do. So hop onto it, we got a lot to do today. Hikari said as Izuku scrambled to pick himself up from behind him. Wait. Izuku called out to his teacher. Why are we doing only half today? Today, my student. Hikari said as he turned to look at the teen, we are going on a dojo hunt for you. After few hours, Izuku Midoriya was dead tired. He had cleaned the beach today for only 1 hour. He wasn't allowed to do more than required amount of his workout exercise, which he thinks is a good thing for him. He has been taken to various dojo and martial arts gym in the last few hours. Also, he did all of that while wearing those dead weights tied around him. At which, he was severely injured in at least 2 of them. Recovery Girl wasn't happy with that, and one gym was destroyed by his new teacher Hikari himself, who also kicked the owner of the gym in the balls in front of several people after he was done thrashing the place and the trainers, whereas the last one was now a tree garden, courtesy of one Kimui Woods when he was called lame, and after that he and several of the people in the gym attacked the group, because Hikari apparently was a friend of the guy who recommended the gym. Why would you take us to that place? Kimui Woods asks while looking at the man that was with them as he was being glared down by all the adults in the group. I didn't know. All right, Hikari shot back as he held up his hands in placating manner. I thought it was a genuine gym, not the one where I might take him for testing his skill. If I knew about it, I would have put this place as a testing ground in the later days. You mean to tell me you would have taken young Midoriya to this place? Anyhow, Yagi yelled out in frustration as he pointed back at the place. Have you even seen some of the people inside that place? It looked like a den of thieves and criminals. Yeah, you were right. Hikari acknowledged his mistake at that. He then looked at the list and sighed as he saw the name. So only one place is left. Kindo Dojo. So the final place that is left is this. Hikari said as they now stood in front of wooden gates. That would be the entrance of this dojo. The dojo was somewhat empty, especially for an off day. All of them entered the place. It was quiet, empty for a dojo that was said to be best. It wasn't run down, which means that this place was taken care of, and there were also few people cleaning the place. They moved towards the place which was supposed to be an office, as Hikari knocked on the door. Hello, is anybody there? There was silence for a few moments before they heard sounds of footsteps heading their way. A middle-aged man with brown hair came out. He had brown eyes and tan color, and was wearing a karate uniform with black belt. Good afternoon, the man said to the gathered group, which turned a bit surprised as he looked at the group, which consisted of 3. Well, he doesn't know about Yagi, so let's keep him out of it. 2 pro heroes, Recovery Girl and Kimui Woods. Recovery Girl and Kimui Woods. The man gasped in surprise. You are the pro hero Recovery Girl and Kimui Woods. The man turned towards the heroine as he began speaking. I am huge fan, ma'am. I loved how you used your quirk to save lives, and your effort during the Hosu police incident was something that made my whole family a very big fan of you. You are one of the idols for young girls and women who wants to be a pro. He gushed over the heroine. He then turned to look towards the young hero who was there, and the excitement that was before dulled a bit, but the excited expression didn't change a bit. And you are the rising hero Kimui Woods. You are a talk of the young generation. He praised the heroes. I am happy to know that people still remember about me in this age. Recovery Girl said as she brought the attention of the man on her. But we are here for this lad here. At that, she pushed the shy teen in front of the man. We would like to know a few things, mister. Oh yes, I forgot to introduce myself in excitement. The man said as he rubbed his head in embarrassment. My name is Kaiza Kindo, and I am the prideful owner of this place, the Kindo Dojo, the best martial arts dojo and gym. The man said. Now may I know the reason why heroes such you and others are here for? Yes, Mr. Kindo, Hikari stated, but was interrupted by the man. Call me Kaiza. Kaiza said as he looked at the group. Mr. Kindo is my dad. So how may I help you? Well, Kaiza. Yagi spoke up as he stepped forward. Young Midoriya here is preparing for the entrance exam that is in 9 months, but there is a slight problem. He paused as he looked on at the man and turned to gesture at the teen. Young Midoriya has no combat or fighting experience whatsoever. He is basically clean slate in the art of fighting, and we were hoping that you will be willing to teach him. He is preparing for the entrance exam. Huh? Kaiza said as he went into a thinking pose. My daughter is preparing for them too. Oh, how proud I am of her. The man squealed as he said that, but got his composure back. Anyhow, but why haven't he trained in martial arts before? I thought that anyone trying to be in UA will have a bit of experience in that area, and if I am not wrong, then isn't he the same kid that was on TV a month ago? A quirk that give him a boost like that would make him have some sort of discipline. Yes. Well, he didn't know he heard a quirk till month ago, Yagi said, and the man tilted his hand in confusion. What? Kaiza asks in confusion. Why don't we speak about this in your office? Recovery Girl said as she looked at the room behind them. With that, Kaiza invited them into his office where Recovery Girl, Yagi, and Hikari explained about the quirk. Oh, I see, Kaiza said as he looked at the teen who was squirming in his seat. Kaiza's eyes narrowed as he looked at the squirming child. So you want me to train him, but before I train him, I need to gauge him properly. He then turned to look at the kid. I would like to fight him before I decided to fight him. Yes, sure, Hikari said as he stood up. I don't see any problem with it. With that, the whole group moved towards the mat that was in the center of the gym. As Izuku hesitantly stepped onto the ring, Kaiza called out to him. Kid, I am not going to fight you when you are restrained, Kazuya said as he looked at the teen. Behind him, Hikari smiled. Remove those weighted bands and then enter this ring. I cannot evaluate you if you are holding back. But I've been told to. Izuku started, but he was cut off by Hikari. Remove the bands, kid, Hikari ordered from behind Izuku. Izuku turned to look at the man that called out to him and nodded his head. He removed the bands and rubbed his hands in satisfaction. His hands felt at ease now, with no extra weight. He did the same with that. Those were on his feet, feeling a bit free. Now we can fight, Kaiza said as Izuku entered the ring. The fight started, if it called that. It was clear that the older of the two had been holding back significantly, but Izuku expertly dodged and weaved through most of the attacks. On the sidelines, the four kept their gazes on them. Young Midoriya is doing much better than before, Yagi stated as he looked at the ongoing spar. Beside him, Kamui Woods nodded. Are we sure he hasn't had any training whatsoever? He hasn't, Mr. Yagi, Hikari said as he kept his eyes on it, as both Kamui Woods and Yagi turned to look at him. It may look like he is dodging expertly, but he is not. He is only running away. Huh, what do you mean? Kamui Woods asked. If you look closely, you will see that he is not dodging, but is actually trying to run away. He has good instincts. It tells him that he is in danger, which helps him to dodge. But when he dodges, he wastes a lot of movements, effectively tiring himself out. Also, since the spar has started, he hasn't actually fought back, he pointed out as he looked at the kid who tried to punch the older man with a sloppy fist. Not because he won't. He has tried to punch, but it was more out of necessity of the situation. Also because I told him to. He doesn't have any stance, not even for the proper punch. What he is doing right now is flailing, like a fish out of water. Finally, the older man decided that it was enough as he then picked up the kid and threw him down. It's enough for today, the man said as he looked at the downed teen. Mr. Murasum, I would like to speak with you and Mr. Toshinori real quick, Kaiza said as he moved towards the office with the two men following him. Recovery Girl moved to heal the kid with Kamui Woods handing him a bottle of water. Inside the office, both Yagi and Hikari sat on the chair facing the man that dished out the current beat down of the teen. Mr. Hikari and Mr. Toshinori, Kaiza said as he gazed at the two men in front of him. You are the two trainers that are helping Mr. Midoriya regarding his quirk, right? Yes, Hikari said for the both of them. I can see the necessity to train him regarding his quirk, Kaiza said as he looked at the two men in front of him. But are you sure he will be ready before the entrance exams? He asks. We all have seen the kids drive, have we not? Hikari asks the man, who nodded his head. And you have fought him right now? Yes, he doesn't have form, forget form. He doesn't have anything regarding any fighting abilities, but he has the fire to learn. And that will prepare him for the exams. He won't stop coming here after the exams if that's what you are worried about. I doubt he himself will stop coming here, but right now he needs someone to teach him to fight, which you certainly can. The man sighed as he looked at the two that were sitting in front of him. You are right about that, Mr. Murasum. I have seen the drive he has, a fire which won't be extinguished easily. He paused for a moment as he tried to think this thing through. After a few moments, the man sighed and brought an application out. Very well, I will help him teach with his fighting capabilities, but he has to give it his all when he is here. I will be giving you this application, which has to be filled and signed by his parents or guardians. He can join the dojo from tomorrow. At what time can he come here? Well, the morning we do some training elsewhere regarding his quirk, and after that it's his school, so he can come here around 3-4 o'clock. Yagi said as Kaiza nodded his head and handed Yagi the application. Make sure that when he come here, the application is filled and submitted at the reception. Yagi took the form from the man as he looked over it once. Mr. Yagi, why don't you go give Izuku the good news? Hikari said as he looked at the shrunken form of All Might. Meanwhile, let me discuss few things with Kaiza here. Yagi looked at him in surprise, but nodded his head as he went to give Midoriya the good news. As Yagi left the office, the two men fell into silence. So what do you think of the kid, Kai? Hikari asks the man that decided to slump on the chair. Why are you here, Hikari? Kaiza asks as he rubbed his eyes. Hey now, is this any way of treating your friend? Yes, and I also know that where your problems follow behind. Kai shot back. That is so not true. He got a glare in return from the man. Okay, it might be somewhat true. So again, why are you here? To help the kid. Hikari answered. Is that all? Yes. I will ask something else then. Kaiza said as he looked at him. Why are you helping him? As he said this, Hikari turned to look at picture on the side, which consisted of a woman and 3 children alongside her. He reminded me a bit of myself, you know? Hikari said as he looked at photo, and Kaiza gave him a confused glance. You do know that I was her youngest student, with you being the oldest. Kaiza nodded his head at that. Also, you might know that his quirk finally manifested outside, similar to how mine was activated. Granted, his was a little early. Again, Kaiza nodded his head. So you might know that how I lived before I finally was able to use my quirk freely. And a look of understanding dawned on the man. So the kid is being bullied? I think so. Hikari said as he shrugged his shoulder. I mean, it is quite clear in his body posture that he is lacking self-confidence, but I can't exactly ask him if he is being bullied. You know, he might not even tell. But that is not what is bothering you. Kaiza said as he looked at him. That is not what is bothering me. Hikari said. Then what is? That kid has an extra energy source, one that is not his own, inside of him. Hikari said to the man that was in front of him, whose eyes widened in surprise. Wait, what do you mean by an extra energy source inside of him? Kaiza asks. Exactly what I mean. He has a soul inside of him. The reason he has another energy source, which means he basically has at least 2 or 3 quirks, which is not good, especially if this information gets out. Hikari told him with seriousness. There are many people who are out there who wants to study our kind of quirks. You know this better than anyone else. Considering what our quirk allow us to do, that group is also after us. And his quirk has already been registered. Not only that his use of quirk a month ago already brought attention to him. There are chances they are already here finding more about the kid. Kaiza, on the other hand, looked at the ceiling with concern shadowing over his face. And you still bought him here. You and I both know me and my wife left this profession a long time ago. Kid, I'm not going to include myself in this again. They nearly killed all of us 7 years ago. Kaiza growled out. I am not asking you to return my friend. Hikari answers to Kaiza in a calm manner. I am just asking for you to train him. He needs to train. The kid has a good head on his shoulder. He won't be swayed to the path of villainy. Also, Hikari gave him a smirk as he looked at him. You would have showed us the door already if you didn't want to train him. Kaiza, on the other hand, glared at the smirking Hikari when his glare dropped. Fine, I will help you train the kid, but I am not taking back my place, Kaiza said as he looked at the man. I know that you will. Hikari told the man. It's time for us to leave, so I'll just tell you that he doing the training program with few extra things. You only need to train him fight. Make sure he does it with the weights on, and give my sister regards, and tell her I am sorry for not being on your guy's wedding. Demon. We'll do assassin. In the night. In the dark of the night in Mustafa City, a lone figure stands atop of the tallest building. His image only visible in the light of the moon. The figure wore a long white jacket with black linings here and there visible with a hood that was covering the head. Similarly, the pants he was wearing was black in color and white linings. He had several holsters on his red-black belt with devices and bracelets with a claw-like object attached on it. The person's face was obscured in the hood. On his back were 2 katanas with a tanto attached to his hip, and 2 Eskimo sticks just below the katanas. A beautiful night. The figure spoke to himself. No problems in my life. Not much work in the morning except have to wake up early and reach the beach, so ARC, can you set an alarm for me about 4:30 in the morning? There was silence before a robotic male voice spoke up in his ears. Reminder had been set, sir. The artificial voice spoke. Is there anything else that you would like to add? The voice asks. Yes, add an apology gift to be searched for Kindo House, foreseeable future. The figure said as he laid down on the ledge. I need to find a gift for her, because I know she will unalive me, then revive me, and then unalive me again, just to prove a point. Done, sir. The artificial voice said again. Anything else? Yes, remind me to call my sister, next week, to tell her about the progress of the building. The figure said as a sound of beeping came for the system. So is there anything for me? The figure asked. Well, sir. Yarsi began. With your morning and a bit of the afternoon being booked most of the time, you are behind on the paperwork that you are yet to sign. Apart from that, is there anything? The figure said as he sat straight on the ledge. Well, sir, you have 6 meetings scheduled for the next 2 weeks. Yarsi said. 2 in this. One of them is the day after tomorrow around 11 o'clock in the morning. The location of the meeting has been shared. Also, you have 3 video conference on the next week. That lady boss has told for me to make sure that you actually listen to what the investor has to say and not to put the people on mute again. Okay, I can handle that. The figure mused as he nodded his head at the schedule. Anything else? Yes, you have been invited to a party in Hosu. Again, the location has been shared and you are expected to be there. Yarsi said. On that note, there is another event for the charity for the orphans and other disabled and quirkless people. You are again expected to show your presence there. Okay, so 2 parties. I can handle that. The figure just gave a nod as he looked at. Is there anything else? Yes. Yarsi said. Mr. Daimon has requested for your presence in following month as Hikari, of course. Now this made the figure stand straight. What does that guy want? Hikari spoke with venom laced in his voice. Don't know, but he had asked for this meeting to talk about business, or that's what the message has been sent about. ARC spoke in the artificial, placating manner. Your heart rate shows a sudden change, sir. I would advise you to take calming breaths. Hikari followed his advice as he calms himself down. So, sir, would you agree for the meeting? I know for the fact he doesn't know about this, so I can't let my anger be seen. Hikari said as he rubbed his chin in thought. But if I don't, the heads will take it in the wrong way. Well, nothing bad could actually happen from the meeting, so let's just put it in. I'll think about it, all right? Yes, sir. Yarsi said. So let's begin our night. Hikaru said as he looked down below the building and in the alley to see that a group of people, around 10 in number if the 2 that were standing at the entrance of the alley were part of the group, converging on 2 people, female from the looks of it, 1 adult and other a teen. Shall we? ARC contact the police. With that he stood on the ledge again and jumped down. He quickly clicked on his wrist as a claw hook of sorts launched itself from the bracelet attaching itself to the top of the building, slowing down his descent exactly a story above the group. The group was so busy trying to hold to the 2 female that they didn't notice a figure that was now direct on top of them. With so adverse quirks in the community, the bad guys are actually quite a fool. Hikari thought as he looked at the gathered group. 10 of them and none of them know that I actually jumped from above. Before the gang could go any further, Hikari brought 3 disc-like objects from a pouch in the back of his pants and shot them in quick succession towards the members that were in front of the 2 females. Once struck, the disc let out a short voltage, shocking the members as they dropped on. The rest just jumped away from the 2 females. Hikari used this as a way to show himself to them. So, Hikari started as he loomed over the group. How do you like my latest shock discs? I am still trying for a cooler name. But until then, shock disc works. Stay of this brat, one of the member, preferably the leader, shouted. This ain't any of your business. Now run along, you don't want to mess with me. But I came here for the sole reason of messing with you. Hikari shot back as he looked over the group. Now why don't you step aside from the lovely ladies, and with that I will only break 2 of each of your bones. Are threatening us? The member from the group growled, and Hikari noticed that the 2 that were standing guard at the entrance of the alley came running back in. Oh, it isn't a threat. Hikari spoke in a low, threatening tone with a growl as he removed 2 Eskimo sticks from his back. It's a promise. With that, he jumped down from where he was, striking one of the members directly in the head. The member closest to him attacked him with a punch, but he just sidestepped the punch with the guy just going past him with as Hikari then used one of his stick to hit him on the back of the head. That was 5. Hikari said as he looked over at the 5 that were now conscious. And only 5 are left. So is there anything that you would like to say before I beat the rest of you? The person that was standing near them was next one to jump in blindly to fight. Die, you monster, the member yelled as he threw himself forward as his hands turned furry cat claws and started slashing at him, or at least tried to. Hikari began to expertly dodge his slash attacks. What are you waiting for? The leader growled out as he looked at his cronies that were standing in front of him. Attack him too. With that command, the other three attacked him, with one of the person arms taking a bit of a glow as his fist then got covered in iron or any other metal, and the other man arms and legs turned to look that of an alligator, and the last began to spit acid out of his mouth. With that, the four began to attack him from different places. As Hikari took notice of the fist of iron coming for him from the left, he ducked and then spun himself to kick the guy back. Whoa, dude, Hikari said as he kicked away the alligator arm back. You are one ugly person, he said to the alligator arm. The acid spitter then spat at him with more acid. You must be having some tough time, even trying to get a kiss from someone. No wonder you surround yourself with guys. The acid spitter began to spew more, but Hikari offered her, dodging the other two and tripping the third, quickly sprinted towards the acid spitter and decked him in the face hard as his punch threw the guy back at least 10 feet and knocking him out cold. So now it's only iron arms, alligator limbs, and kitty arms, Hikari said while looking over at the three. So who's first? With that, the three attacked him simultaneously, but were surprised when he vanished from in front of them. Above you, the leader yelled towards the three, and they looked up but were too late to notice when he threw 3 more discs at the two, with them falling down in the same crumpled heap as the first 3. And I was hoping for some fun, Hikari said in a condescending manner as he looked at the 3 that were on the floor convulsing. Hikari then stopped when he heard the sound of clapping and turned to look at the man. The group leader was smirking as he looked at him. I am impressed, the group leader said as he looked at Hikari with a smirk and stopped as his arms fell to the side. I am very impressed. He then glanced towards his fallen man. Nobody has fought off my gang that easily. The smirk on the face was then converted into a frown and a glare came over. And as such, I can't let you leave this place alive. You should be proud. Not many has gotten the chance to fight me before, and those who did, well, that's a whole another story. Wow, men, you can talk, Hikari said as he looked at the man. You might stop with the praises, otherwise people will start to think that you are crazy. I will show you crazy. With that, the man touched a metal dumpster. With that, his whole body began to take the appearance of a green metal armor. Hikari looked at the change in interest. Impressive, isn't it? The leader said after becoming green metal guy. It's my quirk. Allow me to absorb properties of any material. And then silence took over the alley. What are you afraid now? He asks in a mocking tone. Hikari, on the other hand, continues to look at the scene. He then turns to look at the females that they took from the road. The older one was embracing the younger one. With the appearance, I would say they are mother and daughter, Hikari thought, and then quickly turned back towards the leader. You do know that you took on the properties of a metal? Hikari asks as he looks at him. The leader, on the other hand, got a confused expression. Yeah, what of it? He shot back. And I basically used throwing electric discs against your man, and I also have these Eskimo sticks. Who does the same thing? Hikari asks again. I am not seeing the point. The leader said again. God, I know the criminals were fool nowadays, but to think they were this much of an idiot, Hikari said as he looked at the scene. Dude, you have hostages with you. If you wanted, you could have used one of them as bargain chip for your escape. The leader looked back at the 2 females whose eyes were widened at his advice. Can I try? The leader asks after contemplating the thought. You may not, 3 voices said at the same time. You are not a hero, are you? The leader asks. Really, what gave it away? Hikari spoke in a sarcastic tone. The advice, the suit, the words, or was it something else? I don't know you, the leader said in a plain tone, making him blink, or the lens that were on the mask. I am sorry. Hikari asks again. I don't know about you, the leader said again. And how does that comes into equation? Hikari asks again. There are many heroes out there, some of them you might even not know about. No, I know about them, the leader said again. I even know about Eraserhead and Stain, or as much as you could find on them. But I don't know you. So this means that you are new, but you took my group out without any problems, and even know what I can use to escape. You are a vigilante, aren't you? The leader asks again, and Hikari tenses up his arms. And not just a rookie, you are one of them, aren't you? That group, but only one person has this garb and 2 katanas on his back. You are the assassin. It's time for you to sleep. With that, Hikari quickly moved towards the man, and with his eskrima stick in his hand. Hikari was fast enough that man was too shocked when he came to stand just beside him. He put the end of his stick the nape and pressed a button on his stick, and a huge jolt of shock passed through the leader's body, making him pass out. When he fell on the ground, Hikari picked his arms and jerked and shook it and turned towards the two females. "You two, are you okay?" Hikari asks as he looks at them. The older of the two nodded her head. "Good. I've contacted the police. They will be here any minute now." With that, the sirens of police cars came. "Oh, they are already here," Hikari said as he looks towards the entrance of the alley and then back at the females. "Tell them everything that had happened here," he commanded, and the older one just nodded her head. He then shot the clawed hook at the top of the building. "Freeze!" A police officer shouted from the entrance when he saw a man shot some kind of rope at the top of the building, but Hikari quickly zipped himself up. The police officer quickly ran inside and saw two female that were on the side. "Hey, are you two okay?" The police officer asks, and both of them just nodded their head. Meanwhile, with Hikari, who was now quite a distance away from the place, was cursing himself for calling the police before going in that place. "Why did I do that?" Hikari yelled at himself as he kicked the nearby wall. After a few deep breaths, Hikari called out to his AI for a request. "ARC, patch me through Nightmare's lair." A few beeps later, someone answered the call. "Hello, assassin." A gruff voice came through the other end. "Hey man, how are you?" Hikari said in a cheerful tone. "May I know the reason as to why you have called at this time?" The voice asks. "What, can't I just call to check in on my partner in crime?" Hikari said as he kicks few broken pieces away. "I would have thought of that, but you could have called me on my cell if you wanted to check over my health, and that is not the case here, is it?" "No, it's not," Hikari said as he looked at Moon again. "Listen, I ran into some street thugs tonight. I do not expect you to have problems with street thugs of all the people." The gruff voice growled out. "Or did some of them got a lucky shot in?" "Hardy har har." Hikari spoke up in a sarcastic tone. "That's very funny indeed." Cut to the chase, assassin. The voice at once commanded. "One of the thugs." Hikari started. "Possibly the leader knows about me." "Knows about you as in?" The voice asks in a serious tone. "He doesn't know my real identity." Hikari said, "Don't worry about that." "Then what is the reason of this call?" The voice growled again. "Speak clearly." He knew who was assassin. Hikari said, "Not the real identity, but that I existed." "Where are you?" The voice asks. "I am in Mustafa City," was the quick reply he got from the assassin. "It should be impossible," the voice said from the other end. "There are no records or visual proof of assassin actually being in Japan aside from the Hosu events and Kyoto incidents. Even in those, your involvement was covered. You only exist outside of Japan, and even then your appearance is rare. So how come does he knows about you?" "I don't know, but something just rubbed me the wrong way when he said that I was part of a group and that I was the assassin," Hikari said while turning to look at his side. "He knew that you were part of a group." The voice growled out. "Yes," Hikari exclaimed. "And as far as I know, I've been only in one team, and that one team only." "How is he privy to that information?" "I don't know." The voice of Nightmare asks again. "Before I could interrogate him, I was surrounded by the police," Hikari said while looking at the ground. "I had to book it from there." "You made a mistake," the voice just stated. "I know," Hikari exclaimed as he threw up his arms. "But right now we need to discuss how did he actually knew about this." "All right," the voice said. "I will call you tomorrow. We will discuss after that." With that, the call ended, and Hikari stood there looking at the bright moon that was shining in the sky. The next day, Hikari just came back from the morning training for Izuku. He gave as much advice as he could regarding the quirk and answered some of the questions regarding his own quirk. He was lost in his thoughts when his cell rang. He raised his eyebrow when he noticed the number that was displayed. He picked up his cell. "Hello." Switched to the news channel. Now the gruff voice of Nightmare formed the night before commanded him. "What would happen, man?" Hikari asks as he went towards his TV. "Just watch the news," the voice said impatiently. Yeah, let me first just switch it on," Hikari said, and with that he switched it on and flipped over to the news channel. What was on the news made him drop the remote. Breaking news. The news anchor, a female, said as she pointed towards a picture of Hikari in his assassin's garb. "Last night, one of the myths of the world, one that started in Hosu, came back in Japan. Yes, I am talking about the Vigilante assassin, the same one who is responsible for showing the corruption of Hosu police and one of the few vigilantes and heroes that acquired the title of true heroes." The voice anchor then showed a video that was of him fighting the gang from the previous night. This is the footage of the vigilante taking out a local criminal gang that has been responsible for the several crimes, which also includes robbery, murder, and money laundering. The gang was caught by the vigilante harassing 2 individuals, which led to him interfering as he took down 3 individuals. After that, the young lady used her cell to shoot the video of the vigilante taking down the rest of the gang. And because of this video, we were able to confirm his identity. Then the part was played where the leader told Hikari that he was aware of them. You are one of them, aren't you? That group, but only one person has this garb and 2 katanas on his back. You are the assassin. As this was said, Hikari could only utter one word, and one word only. 2 weeks after joining Kindo Dojo. Izuku joined the dojo a week ago. It's been a week since he had joined the dojo, and his normal schedule has been broken down and rebuilt again to fit all of the thing that he had been doing, including school and homework. He had finally learned how to throw a punch, so there was that. And today he was finally going to spar with someone. And since he had joined this dojo, he had learned only the basics. So fighting with someone who had more experience, especially a girl who is also the daughter of the master/owner of this dojo, was not good, especially if the only thing he had done for the last few moments was only dodge her, while slipping few hits which she also dodged. Itsuka Kindo, a friend he made while sparring. It was interesting because most of the time they talked were the ones where they would be practicing. She had orange hair like her father and had the quirk big hands, where she could increase the size of her hands, and as such also increase the power too. She was one of the most advanced students in the dojo, while she was the master's daughter, so she must know how to defend herself, and her defense is more like her being able to break any sort of bones with her skills. They become friends while on the field as she helps him time to time. He also noticed that unlike other girls, it's easy for him to talk to her, considering that they talk when on the field, but he is able to hold conversation with her. Another thing of noteworthy that happened in the city was the sudden appearance of the vigilante assassin. Unlike the pro heroes, and some of the vigilantes, these guys don't have monikers, just their titles, and when he appeared the news, the social lit ablaze. There were many theories, many speculation, and many weird backstories, but none of them could be true. After all, All Might himself said it. Catching these vigilantes. All Might, in his skinny form, started after Izuku asked him if he was going to be one of few heroes that would help in their capture. As from the corner, Mount Lady and Hikari listened to the conversation. Especially that true heroes is extremely difficult, but capturing either assassin or nightmare, it's impossible. All Might said to the impressionable teen, I am not saying it to break your confidence, young Midoriya, or that many of them would fail. Any of them could get lucky. All Might then got a frown on his face. But in the end it will be just that, luck. Why is that, Mr. Toshinori? Izuku asks the man. Mount Lady, also wanting to know the answer to it. Answer me this, young Midoriya. All Might started. How come the girl was able to got the video of the vigilante, and how come there are no other footage of them? Izuku looked surprised at the question. Your answer, the girl was lick enough to get it. They are known for wiping out the evidence of their existence, and as such their whole existence has been in question, well, at least till a week ago. So you were telling me, Mount Lady said into the conversation. None of us would be able to apprehend the vigilante, even when we have All Might on our side. Especially when you have All Might on your side. Toshinori said, surprising the three. I've come across all of the true heroes, and I am one of the rare few ones that had met them. And as such they have came up with several strategies and techniques that helps them escape. If they are not using quirk, they are keeping their mind sharp to escape instead of fighting back. He then looked on in the direction of the sea as the beach was now somewhat clear. They try to escape most of the times when pro heroes gets involved, rare times when the pros and the vigilantes will team up together and fight against bad guys, and extremely rare when they would fight the pro hero themselves. The later happens when there are battle of ideals, in which that happens most of the time. Pro hero find themselves fighting for the wrong side. What? Izuku asks in shock. But aren't pro heroes supposed to help people? So that would make the vigilantes on the wrong side of what you said about them being true heroes. Tell me, Izuku. Hikari got in the conversation. Are there many types of people? Yes. Izuku said without any hesitation. Tell me, what do you think of the sludge villain, All Might, Nightmare, and the villain Berserk? Hikari asks again. What do you mean? Izuku asks him. Tell me, what does the people call them? Hikari clarifies for him. Well, Izuku started. All Might is a pro hero. Nightmare is considered a true hero, but is called a vigilante. Sludge was a villain, and so is the Berserk. What if I told you that you are wrong in your assessment of these guys? Hikari said, much to the shock of Mount Lady and Izuku. What do you mean? Mount Lady asks. Well, you've been told there are only heroes and villains. Mount Lady and Izuku nodded at Hikari's word, whereas Toshinori looked at him in surprise. But in truth, there are only 4 that actually defines everything about them. Izuku brought out a notebook to write the words down. There are heroes. He pointed to the Mount Lady. Villains, anti-heroes, and anti-villains. But wouldn't the anti-heroes considered as villains? Mount Lady questions him. And anti-villains as heroes? And that's where people gets confused. Hikari said with a chuckle. While you are correct that an anti-hero would be considered as villain, but that is not correct every time. Mount Lady and Izuku looked lost. They are generally a person that have loose ethics and no moral codes, but would sometimes do the right thing. Either it's because in their self-interest, or because someone crossed the line that shouldn't be crossed, and they also don't mind killing someone. A look of understanding fell on her. You mean like Endeavor? Mount Lady exclaimed. Izuku looked at the women in surprise, whereas Toshinori chalked on air while trying to restrain his laugh. Not a bad example, but not good enough. Hikari told the woman. To remain a pro-hero, there are certain rules and requirements that must be met for him to remain in the line of work. He told her, as Mount Lady nodded her head at that, knowing the amount of rules that had been put in their head and the oath they took when they became pro-hero. While accidents may happen, he cannot on purpose harm someone critically. What about the anti-villains? Izuku asked the man. Well, Hikari started. Just pray and hope that you never come across an anti-villains. Why is that? Mount Lady asks. Because they are the worst enemy one can have. Toshinori said from his place. Are they that bad? Izuku asks him. They are not bad per se. Toshinori amended his previous statement. The thing is, when you go up against these anti-villains, you began to question your morals, ideals, and everything you stand for, until the only battle that is left is of wills. Toshinori spoke reminiscing. What? Mount Lady and Izuku says in confusion. What he is saying is that anti-villains are villains, who have heroic goals, morals, and any heroic characteristics, but is ultimately a villain. Hikari said. I don't understand. Izuku said in confusion. Why would they be villain if they are good guys and have good qualities? It's because the ideals clash. Hikari said again. Tell me what Endeavor would call All Might his friend? Both Izuku and Mount Lady shook their head in negative. Because their end goals don't meet. Hikari then looked off in the distance again. Just like this, heroes and villains clash with anti-hero and anti-villains. Not because they are either good guy or bad guy. It's just because the ideals and morals of 2 people clash against each other. That was an interesting conversation he had with them. And Mount Lady, along with many other pros, are now on the lookout for the vigilante that is running around. Many of them came across other vigilantes, and out 10 they encountered, only 3 escaped, even then with injuries. With the emergence of Assassin, many of the pro-hero have been on stakeout for that one vigilante, but there is no sighting of him. He's just afraid. Izuku heard from the side. The school was out and he was heading for the dojo. Itsuka said she will meet him halfway through here. He then looked up at the side to see who said that, but froze as at the familiar group that was now coming his way. Kachin, along with Rue, Mayo, Ayumi, Sergi, and Shoto were walking towards him. They were also discussing about the vigilante. Bet I will be able to capture him, before any of them, Katsumi said as she looked behind her. Izuku for some reason couldn't for the life of him. Couldn't stop his mouth from running. It would be impossible. Izuku said from where he was, as the whole group turned to look at him. What? Katsumi growled out. What did you say, Deku? She stalked up to him as she watched him wither under the intensifying glare of hers. I mean. Izuku started, but he kept on stammering. Before Kachin could do anything, she was stopped by Rue, one of the girls in his class. Let it go, Katsumi. Izuku gave a nod of gratitude to her. He meant nothing by it except you might get the title of vigilante, and then you could kiss your dream to be in Yue goodbye. That's not true either. Izuku whispered under his breath, but Katsumi and Rue being near him heard what he said. What do you mean? Katsumi said as she ripped her hand out of Rue's grip and grabbed him by the collar. Nothing, Kachin. Izuku said quickly this time. Don't lie now, Katsumi snarled over him. No, it's just I've researching about him and I found out some very interesting things. Izuku quickly told her, Mayo hearing that came near them. Interesting like what? Mayo asked in confusion. Well, for one, he is considered as true hero whose rescue counts is as much as best genius the number 3 hero and closing near Endeavor and All Might. as he had saved many people, including pro-heroes too. The whole group listened attentively to his words. He is good in close hand-to-hand combat, and have good reflexes, and has never used his quirk during any of his missions. So nobody knows what his quirk is? Rue asks. Or if he even has a quirk. Katsumi said with a smirk. He might be some worthless guy without a quirk trying to become a hero. Katsumi turned to move away from him, but stopped with his next sentence. Then he is a person who defeated both Best Jeanist and All Might, without any quirks. Izuku said, much to the group's shock. What? Katsumi asks him in surprise. Don't be ridiculous, Deku. Nobody can defeat All Might. He is the #1 hero. She said with a growl as took his collar again. You might be surprised with the number of people who managed that. Izuku said under his breath, but stopped, and as he looked at the group's expression. I said that out loud, didn't I? What? Do you mean? Katsumi growled out with each words as small sparks started coming out of her hands. Nothing, I mean, nothing, Kachin, Izuku said with a scared expression. Don't lie. Katsumi growled again. It's enough, Katsumi. Rue said while placing a hand on her shoulder as the temperature around her started to drop. Let him go. Stay out of this, Katsumi said, and pushed her back, and then prepared her hand for an explosion. But before she could do anything, her hand was snagged from the side as another hand then grabbed her midsection, and the next thing Katsumi knew was that she was on the ground as her back ached from being slammed on the concrete road. She groaned due to the pain and looked at the person who did that. Now standing over her was a girl of similar age, but with orange hair and teal-colored eyes. Itsuka. Izuku yelled in surprise at the sudden appearance of his sparring partner. What are you doing here? He asks her. I was coming to meet you here so that we could go to the dojo together. Itsuka answers him. Imagine my surprise when I come here and see this girl manhandle you and push that girl away with her quirk active. Ojai Deku. Katsumi yelled while picking herself up. Who's the beach? Itsuka's eyes twitched and Izuku gained a horrified expression. Who are you calling beach? Itsuka yelled out to the girl who was now standing straight before her. You who else? Katsumi said to her in indifference. You looking for a fight? Itsuka growled out as her fist turned large. It depends. Do you want to? Katsumi said as small sparks started coming out of her hands. Before either her or Itsuka could make a move, a pressure fell over the group as a whole, pushing every single person that was present in the surrounding down. Itsuka and Katsumi were trembling in their place because of the pressure. Rue and Ayumi were in the same boat, but Mayo was on the ground because of the pressure along with the other guys of the group. Izuku was the only one who was standing straight, but even then the pressure was stopping him, making him feel terrified, and suddenly it vanished from the area. The four of the only people that were standing fell on their butts, trembling on the ground because of the terrifying pressure. What was that? Itsuka asks with a tremble in her voice. That would be experience. Izuku turned to the sudden voice that came and was surprised to see Hikari standing on the side with a grin on his face. What do you mean experience? Izuku asks. He has been asking a lot of things recently. Experience regarding what? Experience of feeling hopelessness. His comment shocked the group. What are you looking at me for with such expression? Hikari asks them. Are all of you applying for hero course? Itsuka, Katsumi, and Rue nodded their head. Well, consider this first experience against going against the impossible odds. Hikari said again. When you are on the field, you will see many things and will come across several situations. Many a times you will hopeless with your situation. In those times, the only way you could work is by defying the odds and getting a grip on yourself. So it would mean that we all failed. Izuku said as he looked at the man in front of him. Why would you think that? Hikari asks. Because we all went into shock after what you did. There was barely any movement from our side, as we were too much afraid and shocked. Katsumi wanted to refute the statement, but he was correct. Whatever the quirk of the person in front of them had, he made her feel helpless, with no hope. She was barely able to lift her hand to make an explosion. Itsuka, on the other hand, nodded her head at her partner's statement. She had met the man in passing when he came over to the dojo and introduced himself as someone who is helping Izuku control his quirk. It was because this was the first time any of you have felt the killing intent aimed at you guys. Hikari said, now that you've been introduced to it, it will be easier for you to suppress your fear and shock when introduced to it in future. The group was shocked at the statement. It doesn't mean that you will not work again. Oh, it will work splendidly if none of you train yourself. What do you mean by that? Izuku asks again. Everyone has this killing intent, but there are other names for this thing. Hikari said as the group of children started standing up. You can either call it pressure or presence. Some of the stronger people, like All Might for example, have a stronger presence which makes the villain fear him. Civilians adore him and feel safe under his care. He then paused and looked directly at Izuku. And vigilantes use it to dodge and escape from All Might. What? The group yelled, but Hikari just shrugged it off. I was actually here for another thing. He then pulled his backpack and brought a few new arm and leg bands out of it. These are for you. He told Izuku as Katsumi looked surprised that Izuku knew this man. I want you to remove the bands you are wearing tonight, and you will wear these on from tomorrow morning. Hikari's eyes then took in a serious tone. You will wear these bands tomorrow morning after your body takes a rest from wearing the previous bands constantly. Understood? Izuku just nodded his head, and Hikari let the objects fall on his hand. The sudden weight from the objects nearly brought Izuku face to face with the ground, but he was this time a bit prepared. Even then, the weight from the objects was too much to be handled by him. Why, Deku, don't tell me. Katsumi started after seeing the teen struggle with arm and leg bands. You are so weak that you are having tough times, even carrying the measly little things like arm and leg bands. Izuku, feeling a bit frustrated because of his schedule, topped over with all the bullying and ridicule, with these bands on top of all those things, snapped. Why don't you then try to pick these up? He said to Katsumi, who at first backed up and then growled at him. You know what? Katsumi started. I will. Izuku lifted his hand with much effort and let one band drop. Before Katsumi could say anything, the sudden weight shift made her meet the ground with her hands below the band. What the hell? Katsumi yelled out loud as her hand nearly crushed itself below the weight. What are those? Training weights, Itsuka said in surprise. And you are already wearing a set? She asked Izuku. Well, they are much lighter than these. Izuku said to her, as they don't make much of a difference. Itsuka and Ayumi were about to ask few more things, but stopped when Hikari started speaking again. You guys can discuss things later. Hikari said to the group. I am here to tell Izuku that I am going to be gone for tomorrow and a day after that. But when I come back, you will be working on the leaf exercise, understand? Izuku nodded his head. All right, Hikari said again. So I will meet you 2 days later. With that, Hikari bid the guys farewell, as Ayumi and Rue, along with Itsuka, began to question the teen regarding the man that just left. In the night, Mustafa City. Hikari stood in his vigilante garb again, on top of the tallest building as he looked down to see several heroes running around doing patrol and finding something else entirely. So they are looking for me, huh? Hikari said to himself as he looked down and watched Kimui Woods and Death Arms moving quickly. Why not just introduce myself to them? With that, Hikari jumped down while using his zip lines and claws and hooks to stop his descent as he landed in front of a group of heroes. Hey guys. Hikari began to his amusement and the pro heroes' shock. There's a word on the street that you guys are looking for me. Well, guess what? The pro heroes quickly got themselves back together and jump. Your prayers were heard. Hey, careful, Hikari shouted in his vigilante garb as he jumped from places to places, dodging the various strikes of the pro heroes that were trying to apprehend him. Another one of the heroes jumped up with his leg extended as he just flipped over it. I know that I surprised you guys somewhat, but I am not here to actually fight or harm you guys. That's what every bad guy says, another one of the pros said, but Hikari just gave him a deadpan look. Dude, I am referred to as a true hero, just like that one villain who is named the Prince. You even have a villain name. Another one said as a sword made of light appeared in his hand as he hacked at Hikari, who kept on dodging him. Hey, Hikari shouted with fake indignation. Let me tell, it's the people that gave me that name. He said again as a burst of cold went past his shoulder. Is that ice? He asks, but then shook his head as he touched where it was splashed and smelled it. My quirk allows me to freeze my surrounding to sub-zero temperatures. He then uses his quirk to shoot another burst of ice at him, but Hikari dodged it. As the freezing burst touches the floor, covering the ground in the alley in ice. That is an interesting quirk, Hikari said as he landed as he watched him cover the whole ground in ice. But do you even know what you did? Of course I know, the hero yelled out, offended. Really? Because you surrounded ourselves in a closed alley where the ground is made up of ice, and one of you has the quirk light weapons, which allows him to create weapons made of high-temperature light, which could melt it, creating steam, which I could use to escape. To the right, the man created a set of throwing knives. And this one has quirk spark if his hands touch. What, or do you even know the shock we will receive? And then towards the last two people. And those two have their quirks solely in their legs, which means you just hindered their mobility. It doesn't matter, another voice chimed in, and Hikari turned to look at the owner. As because of this, not only us, but you are also the one who has his maneuverability hindered. I never said mine was hindered. Hikari said, much to their shock. And you are just the man women I was looking for. He looked at the woman. What was your name again? The Mad Dash, isn't it? A rising superhero in Igenium's agency. The woman just nodded her head. Ah, so you know about me? Her words stopped when Hikari spoke up again. Yeah, I have few questions for you. Hikari calmly walks over the iced floor, tripping the guy that was nearest to him. The one with the throwing light knives was about to throw his weapon, but was zapped with a taser. The one standing near Mad Dash also jumped up with his legs outstretched, but Hikari sidestepped him, and as he landed on the ground, which was covered in ice, he slipped and tumbled over to the dustbin. That's going to hurt, Hikari stated as he looked at the one who was tumbled over, but quickly turned back to the woman who was standing in front of him. Okay, then now it's just you and me, man-woman. Mad Dash looked a bit shocked. I mean, I know that you guys are supposed to be so-called pro, but seriously, who will take people with quirks seriously if you guys act like this? He motioned his hands towards the fallen comrade of Mad Dash. What do you want? Mad Dash snarled as she looked at the man in front of him, her pride not allowing him to run away from the place. Now that's what I was looking for. A person with courage. You will go far, my friend. He then put his hand inside his jacket, making the other tense, but she got confused when Hikari brought a piece of paper in front of her. I know you are a good person, but recently it was found that you came across a group. When Hikari said something about the group, Mad Dash eyes widened through the mask. They are also known to have a very interesting insignia, like this. He then unfolded the paper he had on him, showing the shape of a raven crossed with blades. Mad Dash looked at him in shock. How do you know about them? He asked him. I crossed paths with few of their members from time to time. Hikari told him. I also know for the fact that these guys are a criminal syndicate who takes pride in the flow of money and information. He said to the woman. And right now only few are informed about them, which consists of high-profile heroes like All Might and Endeavor and all the top 10 pros, but there are few young and lucky ones that happen upon them. He then looked at the Mad Dash. And then there are few that uses their information. Don't worry, I know that you are not from the later one. He then pocketed the piece of paper. But somehow you have such a luck that the Black Raven had to live one of their own member right in front of you to stop him from giving you information. What I want is you to tell me as much as you can about them. Do you know what you are asking? Mad Dash asked with a growl. I am asking you to give me info. Hikari said. Was it not understood? Should I repeat my question? I understood what you asked. Mad Dash said with a growl. But do you really think you can take a criminal syndicate like Black Raven would be taken down by a simple vigilante like yourself? She then snorted. Even the top 10 has difficulty apprehending them, because most of them either commit suicide or are killed by the top assassin in the group. Hikari said to him, why such interest in that group? Apparently, they are privy to some information that they shouldn't have, like some of the identities of the vigilantes. Not just vigilante. Hikari said. They had information over some of the pro-heroes in government, which means they could plant themselves in power, and none of you guys, and I mean that, none of you will be able to put your hands on them, much less bringing them to justice. They could destroy the city if we let them go any longer. You will need our help. Mad Dash said after hearing that. Why would you think that? Hikari asks him. If what you are saying is true, there are few of them that are working in those areas. After all, they need to get information from somewhere. Mad Dash said to him. But you are limited in your investigations, and if you tried to use your other identity, one that no one knows about, you will be putting more information at risk. Hikari blinked at her. You know you are not that big of a fool. Hikari told her, then looked at his surrounding again. And yet you guys make such silly mistakes. He then looked back at the woman. So you want? Stop, evildoer. A voice interrupted their conversation. You are to stop and surrender. Evildoer? Seriously? Hikari thought and looked towards the entrance of the valley, where a man stood with a white ranger/robot-like dress. That Ignium? Hikari thought again. Step away from them. He heard Ignium growl. Hikari then looked at himself where he was towering over Mad Dash, then at his surrounding where rest of the pros were sprawled, and understood what it looks like. Now I know this makes me look like a villain, but I assure you none of them are. Wait, what are you doing? He said as he saw Ignium powering himself, ready to use his quirk. Isn't Ignium quirk allow him to reach superhuman speed? Hikari thought. If that's the case, his quirk would power his legs, and that would mean? He looked at around the place, which is still covered in ice. Dude, can you not use your quirk? Hikari started. We can discuss it, so just calm down. You harm my friends, my subordinates. Ignium voice came from the helmet. And you asked me to calm down. He then pointed a finger at him. You might have defeated them, but I will bring you in for justice. A thump, Ignium said as he started to run, but stopped when he slipped on the ice and tumbled in the direction of the bins. I told you to calm and just talk. Hikari said, then looked at the entrance again. Well, my friend, it looks like we have to cut our conversation short for now. Hikari said, I will meet you tomorrow on the tallest building in the area. I still need that info. Why would I come there? Mad Dash asks as Hikari shot his zip line towards the top of the building. Because you are a hero, Hikari said to her as he zipped to the building. Meet him at the tallest building, that would be the building next to the police precinct. She thought in shock, but then heard several voices in the background talking. Well, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. 3 weeks later, Izuku Midoriya is walking with his friend Itsuka Kindo along with Hikari towards the beach. Recently, Itsuka had gotten Izuku to introduce her to the man that had nearly made the whole group faint by just his presence. Why? So that she could ask him for training. She was much surprised and giddy after she learned almost anyone could learn to the thing he did. Killer instinct, or pressure as he described it, is your willpower or intent that you covey just by your presence or eyes. It could make your foe stumble, feel scared, or in some cases faint. Why would she let something like that go? So Hikari decided to help her in that regard. He already told her that one cannot just learn it. It's basically that you are conveying your emotions to harm others. But she was adamant, and she had got a handle of it, as she is now able to make many of the members in the dojo flinch just by her stare. And most are defeated before she even moves. Izuku was also able to use it, but ever since Hikari told them that they could increase the intensity, mostly Itsuka, has been hounding him to teach that, which he said that they will learn it through experience and time. Now they had met Hikari, who met them around the place. He was informed that they would have a day off from the dojo because it's going to be cleaned and decorated for an upcoming event. So they were free for the next 2 or 3 days. Also, they were going to meet someone else. Apparently, Hikari met someone who had problems with their quirk when she attacked him. Yeah, apparently, he was helping someone who attacked him. Who do you think it would be? Itsuka asks while looking at Izuku. I don't know. Izuku honestly told her. It could be anyone, from a young child who accidentally used his or her quirk to someone who was going through the same thing. Same thing? Itsuka asks. Yes, I didn't tell you. Izuku said quietly, which Itsuka heard. You didn't tell me what? She asked while eyes narrowed. Yeah. Izuku gave a nervous chuckle before he started explaining. My quirk is somewhat weird. He tried to explain, but got a growl in return in his head. Not weird, but it is extremely strong and dangerous. Itsuka listened intently, as it was the first time she was hearing him tell something about himself. My quirk is called chakra, that much you know, right? Itsuka just nodded her head. Yes, well, my quirk is basically energy that people needs to live. Wait, you mean to say anyone can use that quirk? Itsuka asks. No. Izuku bluntly told her. Hikari said that our quirk is ours. Nobody could pull it off for some unknown reason. He told her. But for some reason, when people uses their quirks, most of their energy that we can freely use is used in the quirks. So it means that we are using that energy, but it takes forms of the quirk. Itsuka said to him. Yes, but you guys are only using one part of the energy. Izuku said, which got him a confused reaction in return. Yes, he told me like this. Every time someone uses their quirk, it mostly comes in the form of spiritual and physical energy. But when people use quirks, most of the time people just push physical side of their quirks, but there are few that have spiritual side, but not together. We, on the other hand, are able to use both together, but we need to learn to control it. What happens if you don't know how to control that energy? Itsuka asks. Well, if we are lucky, we'll just simply die. Izuku said, listing some of the things Hikari said could happen. Or not, then we will land in agonizing pain in the whole body, wishing for you to die and die, or survive if you are lucky, fall in a coma and die afterwards, or live if you are lucky, and few other things which can also result in our death. In the worst case scenario, your body will be burnt inside out and die. Itsuka paled at every word Izuku listed. So if you overuse your chakra, you will die? Itsuka asks. Well, only if I don't have enough control, or if I give all of my life energy to attack or defend. Why would you want to become hero if something like that could happen? She asks again, and he smiled at her. I always dreamed of being a hero who saved people with a smile, he told her. And up until 2 months ago, it was just a pipe dream, something that was unattainable to me. Now I have someone who is willing to teach me, a person who believes that I can achieve that dream, and I don't want to disappoint not just them, but me too. Izuku explained to her. But you can still die, Itsuka stated. Then I just need to be more careful and have more control, Izuku said to her with a grin. And what happens if you lose control? Itsuka asks. Then I have to trust you to bring me back to my senses. This earned him a blush from the girl. What do you mean by that? I trust that my friend would help me and keep me from dying and help me when I need them most. Would you not? Of course I would help, Itsuka said, while looking in the front, seeing that they have neared their destination. On the beach, there were few new figures on the ground and a rare sight. Yagi, Hikari, Recovery Girl, and Mount Lady watched as a person, a buff man who was wearing a crimson-red training suit with 2 gauntlets on his arms with a tube being attached to the left arm. He had spiky gray hair. In front of him was a blonde girl, around the same age as them. She was wearing a blue skirt with brown shirt, a school uniform. She was using a weapon against the other man. Is that Vlad King? Izuku asks Itsuka, who just nodded her head in surprise. Recovery Girl is here too? Itsuka added. But who is the girl? That was the person I was talking about, Hikari said from in front of them. What do you mean? Itsuka asked, and then pointed in the direction where they were fighting was going on. She is the one that attacked you. Yeah, Hikari said as he nodded his head. Apparently for her quirk to work, she needs to drink vital fluid. And because of it, she also gained a huge amount of thirst for blood, which is not good. So I asked Recovery Girl if she knew someone who could help her, and lo and behold, Vlad King was available. So Vlad King is here to help her? Izuku asks. Yep. What's her name? Oh, her name? Hikari said while looking in her direction. It's Himiko Toga. So, this was the end of part 3 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.